Hello, everyone. This is Sparkle On with Davy Jags. Sparkle is your happiness, passion, and self-worth found through the power of creativity.
Make a sound when I'm standing and I'm shouting out. And sparkle on. It started as a spark, but felt the flames growing strong. Now fighting in the dark.
Today, I'm so excited to be back in Austin talking with singer-songwriter Joy Melan, and she is here to talk about her craft and inspiration, which is kind of an alt-pop music sound, and it's all around expression and intentional healing. Joy, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So, obviously, we talk about Sparkle. What was the initial spark that really helped you realize you are an artist?
The initial spark. I think it was the first time that I ever performed live.
Mhm.
I didn't really grow up singing. It was something I was always really shy about doing, but I loved writing. And I did a poem live for the first time, and someone told me that it helped them.
Aw.
They were just like, "Oh, I had a really bad day and I really needed that." And after I heard that, I was like, "I can help people while helping myself. This is cool." So that was my first little moment.
How old were you?
I was in college, I was in high school. I think it was about 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then when was it like, okay, I'm gonna become a musician? Because I
Ooh.
see how like poetry and song lyrics go hand in hand.
I think musician definitely came maybe around 18 or 19. I've been in a band since I was 15, but
Oh wow.
it was just a fun thing. I saw Freaky Friday, I saw Lindsay Lohan, and I was like, "Yep, I want to do it."
Oh
I
my
want to be in a
God.
band. And I was like, I want to be in a girl band so bad. That was like my main goal.
Wait, your like outfit is very similar to the lead singers right now.
I didn't
You
even put
know-
that together.
Oh my God, I should have worn. And
Oh,
I have
that's-
like a purple slip dress, like a lavender
That
slip dress,
is-
like Lindsay Lohan. We could have coordinated. Damn it.
That is so sick. I'm thinking about for Halloween if I can get my whole band,
Yes.
if we can just
I will fly
recreate it.
down to
Okay.
Austin. I will be here. Number one fangirl
I don't
groupie.
want to grow up.
That
would be-
song is so like no wait, Ultimate is like my song.
Mhm.
Like I still play that, and Freaky Friday 2 didn't really do it real justice. Did you see Freaky Friday 2?
I didn't even know there was a Freaky Friday too.
Oh, it actually like I went and saw it on my birthday in August.
Mhm.
It had me rolling. Like I thought it was so funny.
Yay. That
Yeah.
makes me so happy when there's such a nostalgic remake that does it well.
Yeah.
Because who's watching it. It's the people that took the first one in. It's
Yeah.
never the new age doesn't really care. It's just like we need it. We saw it when we were young,
Yeah.
and we need it to be done well.
And it didn't try to be the first one, which was great. But now I'm even more blown away because you know exactly which outfit I'm talking about, I think.
Exactly what you're talking about. I wish I had the little
Yeah.
pigtails in the front. I wish I did it. Yeah, just
Oh.
totally random, not intentional at all.
And that it really speaks to an important part, I feel like, of like our like inner girlhood of like
Mhm.
how much representation really matters and to inform our artistry. Because I'm really realizing that with like the Hillary Duff comeback and like all of these things where you see these women also healing and
Mhm.
stepping back into their power. But like we were younger, so like we're kind of in that era now. I'm assuming we're around the same age, but I guess one of the things that you really touch on when you were around like 21, I would say, is kind of like this inner knowing that you needed to create to be happy. And you were in a relationship that maybe stalled that, or maybe you couldn't see yourself as an artist while you were also in this partnership. I think this is a really important lesson that a lot of artists either one don't always figure out, or they
Mhm.
figure it out like later in life. What is that feeling, or like how do you define partnership in a way that amplifies creativity?
Oh, that is such a good question. I think the biggest word I can think of is support.
Mhm.
And so something I've realized, unfortunately, there are some people out there that aren't where they want to be in life,
Mhm.
or they're not living their true self.
Yeah.
And if you do that, there's almost like a sense of jealousy, and that person may not even know it as well. And so the more that you are living in yourself and you're working on your craft and doing that, you kind of just start feeling this resistance. And there's a lot that goes into being a creative. It's a very different lifestyle. So I do think that if there's somebody else that's on the opposite end of that. Sometimes it just doesn't mesh. But I do think just having someone that supports you and just understands that there are a lot of things that you have to do to make this happen and just has your back. Um, I have definitely I've definitely decided that I'm kinda married to the it's like I'm married to the craft right now, and it's
Yeah.
awesome.
I think you touched on a really important point.
Mhm.
When you said the word jealousy, I kind of like went backwards.
It's I mean, like, having your partner be jealous of you, but not in this, like, really malicious way, not like
Right.
not that they're not aware of it, they're not
Yeah.
intentionally making these decisions, but when you're like, "Oh my goodness, this amazing opportunity happened," and you're beaming with excitement, and you have all of this life, and they kind of take it personal, and then in those moments, they'll say something, and they'll just switch your energy, and you're just like, "Oh," and you kind of, like, watch yourself fall, and it just makes you feel like you can't believe in like, you shouldn't believe in yourself the way that you do.
Yeah.
That's yeah, gotta stay away from that.
I think and a lot of times we hear stories of, like, jealousy and manipulation. That's
Yeah.
also what we're seeing on TV, but this I know this feeling that you talk about so well because it almost jealousy almost doesn't always feel the right word because this person I think back to, like, when in the start of my artist journey, which was, like, in college, is like, these people, in my eyes, were inherently more successful. They had the job, like, lined up after college, or, like, they were always going to be someone that could, like, kinda hit all of those benchmarks, right? And I would, like, light up, and it was sometimes not even an opportunity. It was almost like because they couldn't understand all the ways that I connected certain dots in my head, but it made me so happy and that was enough. There was just like it was this misunderstanding, and then the only way they expressed it was a subconscious jealousy. Does that make sense?
Yes, well, like, subconscious is the
Yeah.
exact word because it's almost like your body reacting
Mhm.
immediately, and you're kind of, like, not aware of it, and I'm sure if you, like, go back and see it or someone goes back and talks about it, you're like, "Oh, okay, I was feeling this at that time."
Yeah.
Subconscious jealousy, absolutely.
And you use your subconscious a lot,
Mhm,
not just you, but, like, artists use it all the time, but you've talked about this where you're not afraid of that subconscious, which I do think could probably, like, create confliction in a
mhm.
partnership. But now that you've moved on from that time of your life, like, what does that look like for you? Like, how do you tap into that? And then also maybe even coming out of that relationship, how did you also train yourself to learn not to be afraid of that subconscious?
How do I tap into my subconscious?
Mhm.
So I go camping a lot. I go
Okay.
once a month and kind of like take the weekend, 2 or 3 days, and I don't talk for the whole weekend,
Oh, wow.
but I think to myself a lot. So
Mhm.
there's constantly some kind of dialogue or some conversation, but I just kind of keep myself quiet. And it's like that's my me time. That's when I do a lot of writing. I also think in a strange way I talk to myself when writing.
Mhm.
Uh I'll hear some kind of melody and I'm like, "Okay," and I'm singing on the melody and I start saying words and they make sense, they're making sentences, I don't know what they mean. I go back, I listen or I read them, and then I realize how I'm feeling, and it's almost like, there's like a filter for myself. It's like, "Hey, here's how you're feeling palatably," and so I talk to my subconscious, I think, quite often, but it mostly happens when I'm quiet and alone and camping. I think, not being in a relationship has amplified it a little
Mhm.
bit more. I do think there was, like, always something going on or always some kind of noise. I was in kind of a, let's just call it, like, a loud, like, partnership, and, when there's no silence, you're not really able to hear yourself,
Mhm.
and having a lot of silence now, I think, is kind of, like, my key. Some people are really scared of silence because you do hear your subconscious and you don't wanna hear what it has to say, but I feel calmer and more full as a person because I don't have that pressure that's in my chest of figuring out my feelings. I'm able to figure them out because I'm constantly listening and opening myself up to me.
Yeah, no, I learned that when I lived alone for the first time. Um, my partner and I had been doing long distance for 3.5 years, but, like, when I first moved to LA, I lived with, my friends and stuff like that, and then there was one year where I lived alone, and I think that really changed my creative process. But I like what you said is like you actually go to maybe a more isolated area and learn that about yourself. And I think that is really important for the artistic process to almost balance probably being okay sitting in a sort of darkness or isolated period, but then finding answers and light in that. What has been, maybe it's a project you're working on now or in the past, what has been the most like biggest or most rewarding surprise when you're like you hear that melody and maybe it's like a word or a sentence and you're just like, wow. Like I consider that feeling like an ignited sparkle.
Mhm.
And you probably feel it a lot, but like can you speak to one where you're like, oh, I really tapped into my craft here?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a song called "Bowling with Friends." It's a newer song that we wrote. We're putting that out this summer as well.
Mhm.
And it has such a happy, fun feeling. I actually had somebody at my show on Friday go, "Oh, that I love that song. It's so fun." But the words, the song itself is it's like such a kind of like dark,
Mm.
almost like angry time for me. And the way that I get through a lot of things is by kind of just feeling the feeling, but also trying to find some kind of light in it. So I wanted to make such a dark, angry time sound so fun. And the song's called Bowling with Friends. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's fun. That's happy. Um, so honestly, I think the line and the line and the name Bowling with Friends has kind of been my favorite thing that I've done so far because it's such a I don't know, it's such a contrast against itself, and I'm a big fan. I was a
Did
big
you
fan of
figure it out
contrast.
while bowling with friends?
I did I had something happen to me, and then after that, I had to go bowling
Oh.
with a bunch of friends, and so I had to just kind of, like, put on a face,
Mm.
and I did end up having, like, the most fun time because I was very present there, but then as soon as I got in my car, I was just like, "Oh," and I'm back to that feeling, and so I kinda wanted to make a song that felt that, just
Yeah.
like all those, like, highs and lows, but then kind of ends really strong with, just ending kind of, like, on a positive note of release.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I wanted to go into kind of your process
Mhm.
around release, because a lot of writers often revisit the past as a way to obviously inform their future. But you even have phrased your last name to be derived from melancholy.
Mhm.
And I, with my sister and my cousin a few years back, I developed this phrase, "addicted to melancholy."
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay,
that might be a
okay.
song.
Yeah,
I have no
absolutely.
musical background, but maybe we can write a song.
Oh my goodness.
But addicted to melancholy, and I guess it was just because in some ways, I think I always knew sitting in this melancholy feeling was the way magic is birthed, and I wanted to understand the ways that you practice sitting in that, but then also releasing it,
Mhm.
but then the actual experience of then going back and performing this, like, are you truly releasing it, or is it just and it's now, like, essentially this product made for someone else to, like, pick up that story and take it as their own? Like, how does that work for you?
Hmm. First of all, love Addicted to Melancholy. That is so melancholy is just it's such a relaxing feeling. I feel
Yeah.
like melancholy is actually very far from the word, like, sad. It
Yeah.
is, like yeah, melancholy, somber, they sound very calm and relaxing. Um, I don't think, um I don't think it's ever really like a product to give. I think every single time I do a song, I just go back. I go back to whatever space I was when I was writing it, and I feel like I write very safely for myself, and that is why I write my songs to be kind of dancey or smooth. To make sure that when I go back there safely, and that's why there is that much release. I was talking about it a couple of weeks ago on another podcast, and everything I write is supposed to help you move,
Mhm.
but if first, some people like to listen to the lyrics and some people don't. They just wanna, like, listen to the music, and so I've been trying to write for both of those people. If you listen to the lyrics, you'll realize you'll always know what this I was like, you'll always know what the song's about. It's very detailed, and that's where the melancholy comes from, and then the joy comes from the sound of the music, and so
Yeah.
I think, I go to that place every single time, and I think it's something that I want people to go with me. That's why I say step into the wild. The wild is my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's wild in there.
And it's also the band that you've been performing with.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
And can you speak to that? Because, like, I'm sure you perform with many different bands, but what
Mm.
is it like to kind of reach a synergy with other people? And, like, I don't know, I've been here a couple times throughout the years, and I've seen you perform, and you are a sort of queen in Austin. Like, you've garnered such a community, and so it's not just the synergy of the band that's been behind you and maybe different bands that
Mhm.
it's different now, but also the community of the room, and I was just hoping you could kind of tell me about that feeling.
I think it is so beautiful. Community has meant so much to me. I started in Austin by going to an open mic, and I would just go there every week, and I would see the same people every single time, and it's crazy to see where everybody is now, like, Jersey J, Fifi Knife Fight, um, Seth, like, everybody Grayson Turner, like, all of these people have big names in Austin, and we all started off at this open mic just supporting each other. And I think that community is just really beautiful and driven, and I think it's needed to
Mhm.
do if you wanna do anything in Austin, I think it's needed. What
Mhm.
was the first part of your question?
Performing with this new band.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Performing with this new band has changed everything, I think, for me. They're my friends.
Yeah.
They're my friends. They're people that know me when I come in and write a song. They're like, "Hey, is this about so and so?" I was like, "Yes, it is about so and so." And it's really nice to work with people that believe in your vision, and just share a similar love for music. We all love to communicate through music. We all kind of love to jam. So sometimes we'll just come in to practice a rehearsal and we'll just get out whatever we need to get out because we're efficient. I was like, we can get everything done in 45 minutes and we usually have a 3 hour rehearsal. So a lot of it is just kind of jamming and that's how we connect and communicate with each other is just seeing what comes out of us naturally.
Yeah, and I've been hearing this, like, we're here for South by, but, like, I've been hearing this phrase that multiple people have said, which has been awesome, but it's not about competition,
Mhm.
it's about collaboration, and if you make it about competition here, you're not gonna last, but what's weird is it's not just people that are Austin-based that are saying it.
Mhm.
They're coming here and they're like, "This is what we're looking for in the people that we're either investing in or the artists or just the community," like, as far as how we're uplifting, some of these, like, places. They're all coming from the Midwest or whatever, and I find it, very eye-opening that people are saying that and convening here, and that's already the culture here.
Mhm.
Um, how would you say that performing with this band, whether it's from an actual sound standpoint or the friendships, has amplified, like, even you as a writer with your lyrics and stuff and the stories that you're trying to tell?
Um I think the fact that they're all incredibly talented musicians and my friends has definitely been really helpful. I feel like they are able to pull things out of my brain and they know so the way that I write a lot of my songs, I write almost all of them by just humming.
Okay.
So I'll do the drum part, the bass, the guitar, all of that with my mouth.
Mm.
When I actually first started in Austin, I used to just like have a looper pedal and change the effects on it and have a little drum machine and I would do like bass and mouth guitar, silly, a little bit of trumpet, things like that. But I think that, yeah, I think this band being able to communicate the way that I do has really helped me as a writer
Okay.
because I feel more confident in myself. I used to come into practice and be like, oh, well, okay, well, I'm not the best on guitar. I'm not the best on this. So maybe this is not a good riff or this is not a good idea. I wouldn't even pitch it. And then I started getting more confident, and especially when I'm with my friends, I'm like, okay, hey, this would be kind of cool. And they're like, oh, that's so catchy. That's so sweet. That's a really good idea. What if we added a little bit of this? And it's just really helped. It's really helped me grow a lot as a musician, just gaining that confidence in myself.
And then I know that you've collaborated, like, we've talked about
Mhm.
collaboration, obviously, but, like, you've collaborated with other singer-songwriters. How do you find woven narratives in those lyrics from especially from people that have completely different backgrounds or different life experiences? What is the way that you find that middle ground?
I think, I think we all can relate to, like, a same maybe, like, 10 feelings, and I feel like, the situations may be different, but there's a similar feeling
Mhm.
that you can share with people, and I feel like with writing, that's the middle ground that you always try to find. It's like, "Okay, well, this happened to you, and this happened to me, and they're very different, but let's talk what were we feeling in that time? What did it feel like? What did it smell like? What did it sound like?" And if we can find something some middle ground there, then we can make something really beautiful, and we can help people, be brought into the moments that we were brought into.
That makes sense because I feel like when I listen to your music, it's a very transcendent sound,
Mhm.
which almost creates, like, a feeling of, like, being in a fantasy novel.
Oh my it's just that was music to my ears.
No, it's true, and I mean, I think it's, like it's from everything from the lighting to your style, fashion-wise, and, like, I think fantasy now, especially in the literature world, is offering such power to especially a lot of young women, um, but it's also talking about, like, very true events, like you're saying with your lyrics, like, it's you always know what's happening, but why do you think this I guess it's an element or theme of fantasy offers such a safety for people, whether it's the room or even for yourself or even the people that you've collaborated with?
I think it's the inner child.
Mm,
That's something that I've really tried I think whenever I'm singing, I think that's who I'm trying to talk to, like,
yeah,
mine and everybody else's in the room. I know when I was younger, the way that I would, process a lot of things was through fantasy, uh, whether it was acting or writing or the movies that I watched. I liked putting myself in a different place, but then still not living outside of reality because I don't think that's healthy. I don't think yeah,
right.
but to kind of go to that special place and then be told reality and be like, "Okay, I'm okay with this. It'll be alright." And I just think that there's such a control with fantasy, um, fantasy and dreaming and just, like, allowing yourself the things that made you happy when you were younger, and I think when we were younger, we all loved these fantastical things. We had a huge imagination. We would pretend.
Yeah.
Like, pretend was such a big deal. Like, people
Playing
don't
pretend.
yes, like, people don't pretend anymore, and it's like, see oh my goodness, it's so bad, but it's just imagination. I feel like as adults, we don't exercise it enough.
Oh, I play pretend all the time.
Oh, love it. I was
It's
like
like
it was like, yeah, I like I still work with kids too, and I love that I get to keep that alive, and I really I just wanna help adults do the same thing. I feel like that's where a lot of that release comes from is just letting yourself be fully who you are, and I think we all still have a little bit of inner child with us, but it's something that you only see when you're, like, really alone. But what if we could all just be like, be our inner child together for a night, for 45 minutes, for like 2 hours, whatever it is.
well, I think it's also, like, especially if people have come from really hard childhoods, it's like they don't wanna go back to the bad,
Mhm.
but I know you've spoken about your optimism and how you've captured that as, like, playing pretend no matter what was happening during those ages was that escape,
Mm.
um, and it's really important that you almost find those moments of light in childhood because it can inform how you get through it now as an adult, and I guess what would you say, like, is how you enter that inner child or, like, speaking to that inner child? Because like, I know now I'm at an age where I find myself like, sometimes writing letters to my future daughter, so it's not always talking to me anymore,
Mm.
which has been a weird shift in my process.
That's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Um, talking to my inner child, uh, like you said, it is hard to kinda go back, especially if you had one of those upbringings that you kinda don't really wanna think about. I do think I realized later in life that I made up a lot of things. Like, I did blur the lines between reality just a little bit,
Yeah.
because that's what I had to do to, live,
Yeah.
process, and kinda go on, just spinning things in some kind of optimistic way, or just like going into my head and making me like, wait, no, this isn't sad. This is cool. This is like a movie. And I would always just tell myself life is like a movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, yes.
Me
And I was like,
too.
and if you, yeah, and if you really think about it, like if you really think about it, you can make it. Like when someone, oh, I wish I could do this. You can.
Yeah.
I wish I could dress like this. You can.
Mhm.
It's a choice. And so I think, I finally grew up a bit and was able to not blur the lines, but still tap into that fantasy. And so now when I go back and tap into my inner child, I feel like I acknowledge now, like, things that happened and that life maybe wasn't exactly what I thought it was, but that's okay. And it brought me here and I learned a lot from it. And I was able to find beauty in the darkest things when I was so young. And I can still do that now.
That's really, really powerful because I've had this angst lately. And this was I was gonna write about this, but I've had this angst lately about the way that we've commodified nostalgia in our trends and fashion choices, and even with we were talking about Freaky Friday, but like with the movie industry. And it's become exploitative because I've been sitting in the nostalgia phase since, '07, right? And but I think the angst, I really had to ask myself, where is that coming from? And it's coming from, no, I've actually, like, I had a pretty good therapist for 4 years, and I've done the work to be like, no, I'll tell you all the reasons why I will never get over Chad Michael Murray running after Hillary Duff. Like, I will never get over that, okay? With Jimmy Eat World in the background, like, absolutely. I am not.
It's burned in my brain.
Yes. And I can say that this was the reason I saw the light, and there was nothing but you know what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is, like, the way that you've taken and you said, "No, you can do this. You can dress like that." These are all important things. It's not just a movie. If you want your life to be a movie, let it be a movie. But there is some resentment I have of like, well, have you done the work to actually process why you latch onto that movie scene? And I can tell you all the reasons why, but this is not about me. And I guess it leads it more into my question of like, who has been some of your biggest artistic influences in your process and craft?
I do want to say fashion-wise, this is just kind of a broad spectrum, but 90s, early 2000s, all of the women in those movies, the girl with the glasses, the one that's like getting made fun of, but she's the coolest girl in the movie. She's got the coolest outfit on.
Yeah.
And they're just like, look at her hair. It's got like spikes. I'm like, she looks sick. I have no idea how she's getting bullied right now. Just watching people be so unapologetic.
Yeah.
I kind of grew up in like a really like churchy background. So, my mom wanted me to dress like a certain way and be a certain way. And I wanted to, uphold that as well. But in the back of my brain, I was always a goth girly and like secret. And I was like, oh my God, I'm wearing a pink pastel shirt and it just feels wrong. And I didn't hate pink. It just felt wrong for me. And, I'm watching all these people on TV and these women being who they want to be. And so I would say very, very broad spectrum. I actually don't listen to a lot of Lady Gaga, but I love like Lady Gaga. I'm not a huge pop music fan, but Lady Gaga, like as a whole, as a person, has always just been, I was like, oh, this is coming from her. Everyone thinks a lot of the things that she's doing is a gag. And I was like, no, this is an idea.
Yeah.
And she's not doing it for attention. She's doing it for expression. And I think that's where a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, you dress like this because you want attention. I was like, no, I had a vision. I had an idea. It's kind of like building a sculpture or anything like that. Whenever I put together an outfit, I don't ask myself, do I look good in this? I ask myself, is it like saying what I want it to say?
Yeah.
And sometimes, the hair, certain hairstyle or like earrings can kind of just throw that off. And I think Lady Gaga and like Rihanna were always just really big fashion inspirations for me. And music wise, I would say, I don't know if you know the band, but Rainbow Kitten Surprise.
I don't.
Oh my, I would take a really good listen. They're incredible. I've been listening to them since I was 16 and they're kind of growing, but them and Mount Joy are the two music inspirations that I have. And I just think that comes from the fact that, one, I can't pin their sound. You have to, everyone has to say, okay, we're indie rock or we're indie pop or
Yeah.
whatever, but, you really can't pin it. And I think they were just such a big inspiration for me for danceable, somber music.
Yeah.
Because I once had someone listen to a playlist of mine and go, "This is so sad," and I was like, "Really? Like this is like it was like my hype.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like my hype music," and I was like, "It just makes you want to twirl and spin and smile and maybe cry for a little bit, but then you're not crying by the end of the song. You're smiling because it felt good that you did cry."
Yeah.
And so I think those are probably my biggest music inspirations, and Lady Gaga and Rihanna are like my fashion inspiration, which I think all kind of comes together, my creativity.
Well, I think an important note that you touched on was that essentially genre is a construct. Like it's just a way to market an album. And when you really talk to artists and their process, they're drawing on so many different types of inspiration, rhythm wise, style wise, and I think it's an important note of even from like someone like Lady Gaga's like albums are snippets of time in an artist's life and process that they're trying to express a certain emotion, and it takes all of you. So you lean in, and that's why the marketers can come in and pull and like, here's her makeup for this album and things like that. But when you strip that all away, is you have that emotion that artist was feeling at the time. And so my last question to you is, you I'm kind of like wondering, what is a creative conflict that you're maybe facing that you're looking forward to solving, or a barrier that you like were facing at one point and you kind of just broke through?
Um, I think the conflict I'm facing right now creatively is writing without tragedy. That's something new to me. Like
Powerful.
I have not. And thank goodness but I have not had such tragedy. Like life it's been stressful and it's been a lot, but it's not traumatizing, you
Yeah.
know? It's actually, it's very powerful and it's helping me grow. But for the last maybe 2 or 3 years, I've done a lot of work on myself and I haven't had any outward really negative things. Like I had a bad breakup a couple months ago and I wrote like 10 songs from that, but I don't want bad things to happen to have
Yeah.
to be able to write. So that's something I'm kind of trying to work on, trying to just be able to write off of my feelings, whatever they are. And I'm happy. I'm happy there's no tragedy, but you know what? It makes for a damn good song.
Sometimes it
Yeah,
does. Yeah.
sometimes it does.
But I think every artist faced that at
Mhm.
some point because they do want to write about joy, and that's actually
Yeah.
more difficult.
Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy? It's
Yeah.
like it's harder to create happily, and I feel like that is something that we should, like, almost every creative should practice, like, because you do your best stuff when you're feeling a lot, but let's do some more stuff when we're feeling like a lot of happiness. I feel like that's something we don't get to see as much.
I'm blanking on, I think there's an Alice Walker book that I want to recommend to you, and I
Mhm.
wish I could recommend it for everyone on the podcast,
That's
but I'm
okay.
forgetting. I'll go back in my notes. I know I'll think of it as soon as this
Mhm.
episode's over. But it's beautiful because it's a lot of pinks and oranges and like color blocks.
Oh.
And ironically, in my process, I've been color blocking about a lot of things, which we
Mhm.
can talk about offline.
Okay.
But it's like I'll find it and send it to you. But I empathize with this journey of that creative barrier because it is very difficult, and maybe we'll have a part 2 to go into how you actually capture the joy, because here's the thing, you are joy.
I am
Yeah.
joy. I am joy.
Well, thank you so much, Joy, for joining us on the
No
show.
problem.
And everyone, don't forget to sparkle on.